Hello and welcome to Against the Storm, patch 0.47, the Explorer's Choice update. In this update, we have a complete revamp of the entire system revolving around glade events and how we solve them. Now, instead of each event having basically one solve solution and two rewards, now each glade event has two solves, each with their own dedicated reward. Now what this means is pretty vast. On one hand, there are two different ways to solve an event, which means that you have more choices for the materials required to solve an event. On the other hand, that means that depending on the materials you have available, you may not have the right materials available for the way you want to solve the event. So one example would be the Altar of Decay, which, as you can see here, has a solve event that is revolving around tearing it down, and a solving event that is around performing a ritual to bring that into your village as a harmony decoration. And there's a lot more to this as well. Not only do you have a two separate solve solutions, you also have some sort of a benefit or an effect that is geared around different things. So in the screenshot you can see, this is the teardown is a loyalty type of event. In this type of event, solution rather, type of solution, you are you're providing you're reinforcing your loyalty to the crown, to the citadel, by clearing out things that are negative. Whereas you can also take the other choice, which is marked as a, what is it called? I just lost the name. A corruption point. And these points are a new pseudo resource. They can be the choices you make in picking the solutions that reward them will affect the orders and perks that you will get later in the game. So if you choose more more loyalty type event solutions, you will get more orders that are more geared toward loyalty. If you choose the corruption ones, you get more orders toward corruption. And the third one is empathy, which we'll see, I believe, in a moment, and that would also affect things like orders and give you more empathy geared orders. And so many of the events have been rebalanced, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, pretty much all of them. And the rebalance is not only just in this way, in the way we see here, but it's also in the materials that you can choose for each solution. So gone are the 6 choices per solution. I suspect there are about 4. I haven't looked yet per solution. But if you add them together, that means that there are 8 possible choices to solve an event, rather than the 6 we had before. Beyond that, tools are not a solution for every event anymore. Tools are not one of the choices, and infused tools are gone. So events in the past had like 6 choices, and sometimes it was tools and infused tools and then 4 other things. Now that tools aren't always a requirement or always an option, and that there's only one type of tools, there's no longer simple and infused, there's just tools, which are the simple tools. You now get a lot more choice as to which types of materials you can provide to repair the event, which means hopefully that the events will be a little bit more amenable to being dealt with, rather than having to struggle to find the right things to solve the event or deal with the negative effect if you can't solve it in time. They've also increased the threat timer by about 30% on average. because so now you can have a lot more time to solve an event than you had before. Let's take a look at another example here. This is the corrupted caravan. I'm sorry, no, this is the corrupted cauldron, the Blightrock cauldron, and we can see here a couple of more events on this one, and you can see the empathy, which is the heart icon, whereas the other solution in this event does not give you one of those pseudo point resources. You don't get pseudo resource points, I should say. You do not get if you tear it down, you don't get any, which is fine. If you cleanse it, then you get the empathy point. And then another example here, another thing here is we still have when you're clearing or cleansing a caravan, a corrupted caravan, you can see that they are using the burning fire to burn it as we've seen before. So some things are still kind of the same. They've also improved the order UI so that there's now an icon, like a flat icon that's not it's just like an outline or like a etching, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, to indicate whether the order requires you to sacrifice the item, to sell the item, to deliver the item, etc. And I believe there are 7 of those types of markers. Yes, deliver goods, sacrifice goods, sell goods, produce goods, change ingredients, satisfy a need, and satisfy a need simultaneously. So we'll see 7 different icons next to orders that have those types, and they'll add more as they see fit in the future. There's one additional new cornerstone it's a Stormforge cornerstone called Seal Fragment, and 3 new decorations: Thorny Reed, chests, and cages. Those 3 decorations will come from different deeds, and they are replacing the experience bonus on the deeds with those items. So we'll have to take a look at that. There's also a new music track in the Coral Forest during the clearance, some new animations, and of course a plethora of bug fixes. There was an item that I'm not seeing now that had to do with something that I already mentioned, but I'm not seeing it. Maybe I'll see it as I scroll through the rest of the patch notes, because I did not write these all down separately. But the next announcement in the patch notes is that tomorrow, or today as you watch it at some time, the experimental branch will contain the foxes. Sort of. The foxes are all remasked to look like humans. So, and including all of their buildings. So the art and assets will not be visible on the experimental branch, but the mechanics and the systems and the balance will be on the experimental branch. So because we're not going to be able to see anything anyway, I'm just going to wait until it's actually released in 2 weeks to feature it on my channel. But in the meantime, they've given us a picture. Artwork of the new fox villagers. And they are male and female. So far, the implication, I believe, with the artwork is that all of the humans are female, all of the harpies are female. Beavers and the lizards, probably male. It's a little bit harder to tell, but I believe that they're implied to be male. Whereas now the foxes have 2 genders. Or 2 gender appearances. So, that's the summary. There were a few more items that I wanted to highlight as well, and maybe recover some of the bits we covered before, for a patch that is just before a new major introduction of a new race and all the mechanics and balances and systems that are involved with it. This is a pretty extensive patch. But I guess it was more code-based than art-based, because the artists are all working on the art for the foxes, so they were able to do more code-based stuff. So, yes, that's what it was. The stuff about the tools. Caches no longer always need tools either. They can sometimes be smashed and looted using some simple resources like stone and resin, or sent back to the Citadel for amber and reputation, but at much higher cost for tools. Also, with the removal of infused tools and the simplification of simple tools to just tools, the buildings that used to take or used to make infused tools, in one of them it has been replaced with tools at a 3-star recipe, and in the other it's been replaced with wildfire. I'm missing the list where it tells me which one was which, but we'll see those as we encounter them in the game. Tools have also been sped up in their production time. It looks like, I'm not going to do the math right on this, but it looks like about 20 or 30% faster, which is pretty good. So we get them a little bit faster as well. The only thing I'm going to miss about the infused tools and the tools is buying them from the traders, because the infused tools were cheaper per use of to open up a cache or to whatever than the tools. So that was a nice little savings, but it also kind of was not unfair. Unfair would be an unfair word to use, but it was a little bit a little too much cheaper. So it's kind of a good thing in a way too, in terms of balance. Here it is. The infused tools in the Finesmith has been replaced with the tier 3, the 3-star simple tools, and the infused tools in the Rainpunk Foundry has been replaced with a wildfire recipe. And the Tool Hoarder deed, which was the deed where you win a game with infused tools and storage, has been moved to the Legacy category, which means that you can no longer earn it if you haven't earned it already. There have been some UI UX improvements, but most of them are pretty basic. I don't think I need to cover them. And then, as I mentioned, a whole host of bug fixes. And I believe that is it for the highlights from the patch notes. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know in the comment section below, or come to my Discord. You can find the link in the description. And join me there in the Against the Storm channel for conversation about this, or in any other channels for the appropriate conversations in those channels. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next town tomorrow. Bye for now.